A warm welcome once again, and thank you for keeping it right here on Sunrise at Sea. My name is Shivan, and I'm back with yet another juicy conversation this morning on Our Views, and we're going to be talking about children choosing favorite parents. Now, we all know that children can be bundles of joy. Now, many times it is the parents who usually have favorite children, but this time around the tables have turned, and actually the children have favorite parents. So it can be a dilemma, and if you are a parent who is not, strong-hearted and you're faint or weak-hearted, it can definitely cause a lot of tension and kavuyo in your home. I mean, you're trying to get your child into bed, or you're trying to help them brush their teeth, and they're like, no, don't touch me, I want daddy. That can be very frustrating. Well, joining me at the center of this conversation, of course, are the usual suspects, my ladies. I have Sarah, and then I have Sandra. Good morning, ladies, and thank you for joining us once again.
Good morning, Shivan. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Sarah, I would like you to come to my place and make me that amazing meal that you made earlier on.
I'm still drooling.
I think you can't see. I thought I was the only one. Well, ladies, let's get into this conversation of children choosing favorite parents. And how this conversation actually came about is that one of our viewers who is constantly watching Sunrise at Sea did send a letter to a social media platform. And it reads as follows. It says, it's very, good morning, dear Sunrise at Sea. I beg your pardon. First off, I absolutely love the show. Thank you very much. I am caught between a hard place and a rock. I have always had and seen children play favorites with different parents, but I had never imagined that I would be facing it as well. I love my children equally. However, it is clear that they have their preferences. It is very frustrating for me as a mom because I go out of my way to be the best I can, to be the best I can. So when I see my toddler prefer his dad and then my 17-year-old son prefer his dad, I really get concerned. It's becoming an issue and causing, I think there she meant tension, and causing tension. What should I do? Ladies, let's dive into this conversation. As you were growing up, first of all, did you have favorite parents?
I did. Growing up, I preferred my dad. I was my daddy's little angel. I loved my father so much. Growing up, my mom was more of she was the strict parent, she was the disciplinarian, and she was the one who actually instilled all the values and morals and principles that I have as a grown woman right now. So because my mom, her style of parenting was different from my father, she was a lot more, straightforward, always holding me accountable, as in she was no nonsense. She wouldn't beat, but she was very firm with how she raised me and what she expected from me. So because of all that pressure coming from her, I preferred my father because he was a lot lenient. I mean, he was more like the scapegoat, and I'm going to tell daddy, or I'm going to go to daddy, whatever the case may be. But growing up, I actually prefer my mom. I'm sorry.
Later on.
Yes.
Like how you be changing.
Now I understand why she was firm with me like that. She was not harsh, but she was firm. Take accountability. You must, when you should always tell me, you have to take accountability. You're responsible for your own actions. No one is coming to save you. It is all on you. Like, she was very firm like that. But growing up, I completely appreciate my mother for that. Like, I love her for that. And if she wasn't that way with me, I probably wouldn't be here.
How about you, Sandra?
I think for me it's actually the same thing, because I loved my mom too completely, but what I loved about my dad was that we could talk about anything. Nothing was set in stone. Like, if I wanted to do something and I had a very good, like we could have a debate and mine was like weighing in more than his, then yeah, nothing was black and white for him. There were so many gray areas. We could have a candid conversation.
Yes.
Whereas you'd go and ask, Mom, can I do this? Absolutely not. And that's that.
Yes.
But for him, Like you could
Let's negotiate.
Yeah, we could always negotiate. He treated me like an equal.
Yeah.
We were equal, so we'd always have these candid conversations. Yeah, I remember the first time we wanted to go out, and we went and asked my mom with my sisters, can we go out to the club? And she's like, what? It's like as if we were speaking French or something. She's like, no, go ask your father. And she thought he would say no, but we gave a very good argument. And she saw us later getting, so, where are you going? It's like, Daddy said we could go out. He even took us. She was not happy. But yeah.
The thing about parents is with fathers, especially when they have daughters, is that the fathers are very shielding and protective. They are more like mama bears, fathers, because they don't want to piss off their little angels and princesses and whatnot. On the other hand, mothers are equipping you and arming you for war, because they know that it's not easy being a woman in the world in general.
Yeah,
society is always putting up all these high expectations or having these double standards against women. So with mothers, they are arming you for war, and it's always tough love. It's not pampering you. They're like, if you do not get it from here, the world is going to show you otherwise.
Sandra, you mentioned something quite fundamental, and it was among the questions that I was going to bring in later on, but now that you have brought it up, the aspect of the fact that you knew that your mom had refused you guys from going out, but when you talked to your dad, he had allowed you, which brings me to the understanding. And in very many homes, in my home, I know if I asked my mom, if I wanted to do something, shady, I would ask my mom, because she'll be like, no, it's okay, you can go. But my dad would say, okay, give me your friend's number. So children always know who is the most stricter parent and who is the one who can easily get you off the hook. So do you think this is actually a reason as to why children do have favorite parents, or is it an issue of poor parenting?
No, I don't think it's an issue of poor parenting. Absolutely not. Because you have to understand that you've heard that saying, fathers and their daughters, mothers and their sons.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because the first relationship that a boy has with the opposite sex is with the mother. And the first relationship that a girl has with the opposite sex is with her father. That's why when we grow up, we subconsciously look for this in our partners. A man would subconsciously look for a woman who has his mother's qualities. And a woman would look for qualities in a man who has her father's qualities. We gravitate, subconsciously, we gravitate towards that, because that is the idea of love that we have been given.
Yes.
Yeah, at a very tender age. But like what Sarah said, once we grow up, and this lady who is very troubled about the sons loving the dad more, as a parent, as children grow up, especially boys, fine, they can be very close to the mom, but once they grow up, or as they are growing, then they find that bond with their fathers, because they are growing up into young men. Yeah, and they want to emulate what the father does. So that bond will always be there with their fathers, but that doesn't mean that the child does not love you. There is nothing like a mother's love. It's something that God created. Even when your child, even if they are 30, 40 years old, they would always gravitate towards the mom if something is going on. In fact, when a man wants to marry, he tells his mother first before he tells the father. Even the girl, she will run to the mom. Yeah, like you said, once you grow up, because you are a woman and you're growing into your womanhood, you gravitate towards your mom, because she will teach you and show you the ways in which you can into society as a woman.
Well, I do have a video in that regard, but before we even play it, I just need to read this out for you, and it's in regard to why toddlers play favorites, because this morning we're handling toddlers, but as well we're handling a bit of the young youth. Well, toddlers can play favorites for a variety of reasons. The most obvious are time, attention, and routines. So depending on, the busier parent, obviously you may not be the child's favorite, depending on your routine. Remember that having daily routines can make a child feel safe and secure. So if mom is the one the child shares the most routines with, she may be by default the favorite. Well, sometimes it can be gender or personality specific, or maybe they are just exercising their right to be independent and choose what they want. I want dada to do it. I want my father to do it. Regardless of the reason for toddler favoritism, it is important to know how to deal with it. But I have a video to show you even before we come back to discuss how best we can deal with children picking favorite parents so that it doesn't turn into a whole toxic relationship. You guys should have seen Sarah and Sandra's faces while they were watching that video. They were almost coming to tears. Mom, my dad. Well, we can clearly see that children are actually having a hard time deciding which parent they prefer. However, I need to understand, for someone watching, and actually in regard to the letter that our viewer did send us, how do you think that they should handle the situation so that it does not escalate into being a toxic relationship all over? Because it could be very frustrating if you're going out of your way to love your children and they're constantly sidelining you and preferring another parent.
First of all, it doesn't have to get into a toxic situation unless you're going to just let jealous and envy drive you. Number two, you're not going out of your way to love your kids. You're supposed to love your kids. That is your job as a parent. And number three, children and toddlers will gravitate to the parent who makes their life easy. So if you're going to if you're going to be the one who is always on their case, there, you have to do your homework. You have to lay your bed. If you're the one who instilling principles and values into a child is not easy, because they're going to face it. You're going to face a lot of resistance from your children, but your children don't understand, especially when they are young and all the way until they are teenagers. They don't understand that this is actually good for them. Because with a lot of parents, you have to fight with your children to go and eat. If you don't eat, you're going to die.
Bathe.
I don't like mommy, she has forced me to eat. If I don't like mommy, she has forced me to go and bathe. I don't like mommy, she's forcing me to read my books. I don't like mommy, she expects me to pass my, my exams. Children don't understand that. And for them, they are driven by emotion as opposed to logic. Then when they grow up and become older, they now understand that, oh my goodness, if it wasn't because my mom pushed me to always wake up early and be punctual and always be on time and grill me every time I procrastinated or refused to do this, or because my mom taught me. When we grow up, we start to appreciate the values that our parents instilled in us and taught to us. At the time, we didn't like it.
Yeah.
We did not like it at all. And children are very manipulative, and that is why they gravitate to the parent who they can beat the system with. You understand? And that is why they need that. Just like you say, when I want to do something wrong, that is not, I want ice cream, instead of eating my beans, daddy is the guy. Because when he says no, like, but you start fake crying. It's like, okay. Take the ice cream. Don't eat the beans, because you want the parent who is going to make your life easy. And that is what children do. They want to beat the system. So parents, you need to stand firm. And it's very hard for fathers, especially when it comes to saying no to their daughters. It's very hard. And also mothers, when it's time to say no to their sons, it's really hard. Or vice versa. Or sometimes when a mother sees her husband, or the father of the child being really strict on the children, she'll want to intervene. It's like, no, don't shout at them, or you're taking it too far. Parents need to have a united front, because that is how the children play you.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think it is indeed very important that you have a united front, especially when it comes to discipline. Like, a child should know that when mommy says no, daddy has also said no. That when mommy, it's not the aspect of when mommy says no, daddy will say yes, because they will always know. Children will always know. Yesterday, quite interesting, my dad was attending fellowship and I was sort of listening in. Okay, I didn't listen in. I was passing by and I had him talk about this very conversation. Okay, no, I wasn't. And I had him talk about this particular conversation, and he was saying that as parents, that some of the tactics they used on us, which actually does make sense, is that they got to realize that us as children, we had singled out who the favorite parent was. So mine was my father, of course, because psychology has it, you ladies have mentioned it, that girls love their fathers more and boys are attracted more to their mothers. But also he did say that at the end of the day, they stood the same ground. Even when I would somehow cut corners and go and tell daddy, but I don't want to do this, like, he would still say, but what has your mother said? Has your mother said you should do it? If that is it, then go ahead and do it. I would like to hear from you, Sandra.
For me, I have to say, and what Sarah said, like, kids are very emotional. They operate on emotions. And I'd just like to put it out there that I have become a pathological liar at home. Because, yes, to my kids. Because you can't force them. For example, you tell them you're going to shower. So one time the toddler was telling the other toddler, crickets are coming, roaches. So they were running and they're wondering, roaches, where are they going? I told them that if you don't shower, crickets and roaches will like bite your toes and stuff,
Yes.
insects and stuff, because then they are so distraught. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's going to happen. So they run and shower because they are driven by emotion. They're feeling like, oh my gosh, I would not like this or that. Because you can't reason with them and you can't force them. They'll go kicking and screaming. So I have like all these stories here and there that I tell them to get them to do things, to get them to eat, to get them to... You just have to bring yourself down to their level. And yeah, you get them to do things that you want them to do.
It's very interesting because a week ago I was having a conversation with a child counselor and was somehow talking about disciplining children. I'm just obsessed with understanding the mind of children. Yeah. So among the things that she did highlight, she works at Case Medical Hospital, and among the things that she did highlight is the fact that usually when parents are like telling their children, like, if you do not do this, I will not do it. It's very important that you actually go ahead and do it. Like, if you've said cockroaches are coming, get a cockroach and put it on the table. They should know that you're dead serious.
I have rubber cockroaches.
But won't that traumatize?
That is what I asked. That is what I
child?
asked. But you see, she did go ahead to explain and say the mind of a child gets... Their minds think first. If constantly you tell a child, I'm going to beat you, and you do not beat them, they'll get used to it. There are some children who they are beaten to the extent that they're so used to being beaten that beating doesn't work on them, you get. So, like, if you're going ahead to tell your child, I'm going to discipline you, I'm going to take away your phone, go ahead and do some of those things so that they actually know that you're dead serious. But as we continue this conversation, for the parent who is feeling unfavored by the child, before we even get to that, because both have to play a hand, the unfavored and the favored parent. So for the unfavored parent, how should they handle this situation on their own?
You need to understand it is your job to love your children. It is your job to take care of your children. It is your job to do what's best for your children, to do the right thing, not what they think is comfortable for them or convenient for them, but the right thing. And I would advise our viewer who wrote into us today, it's like, just be patient. You may not get that gratification or validation that you want right now, but your children are going to grow up to appreciate you. Your children are gravitating to their father because perhaps he's the one who is taking the role of the good guy, the one who pampers them after you have grilled them, like lectured the children, and your teenager is gravitating to his son because he probably has shared interests and activities with his father. You understand? Yes, so what she should do in this case is probably identify activities that she can get herself involved with her kids, because she may be coming home from work, she's tired, and then now she's busy with making sure the house is in order and everybody's comfortable. So she's used to taking care of everybody, and what I see from this is she's maybe feeling neglected and not feeling appreciated. So get involved with children. It's about getting involved with them. So find an activity that they can enjoy. Okay. If they don't enjoy doing housework, don't make that the activity. Make it their chore and responsibility, but don't make that the activity. So find an activity, take them for movies, make it a tradition, or go on evening walks, make it a tradition so that they look forward to it, something that they enjoy. Tap into their interests and do that. And your children will slowly keep on coming back. But if your toddler is also running away from you, mommy, find an activity. If it is watching cartoons, find that activity that your toddler enjoys, and then
go ahead and do it. Okay, so for the unfavored parent, Sandra, I'll pose to you, what should the favored parent do, the one that the kids are gravitating to help sort of make the situation less tense?
I think they should find time to spend as a family, and also share with the unfavored parent what the kids love. Because kids are always changing their interests. They just keep on changing, yeah? So just to bring the other parent, the unfavored parent, up to speed. He likes this, he doesn't like that, and to bring them up to speed and fall back a little bit and let the other parent step into this and spend quality time with the kids, just to rebuild that bond.
Amazing.
One more thing, slowly, quickly, one more thing, lastly. The other parent, you can also play the advocate for the unfavored parent. So for instance, the unfavored parent, lectured or scolded or disciplined the child, and the child went to the favored parent. Please explain to your child why the other parent had to do that, and why it is important that they follow rules or not to do what they did to get themselves punished.
Okay, so as we wrap up this conversation, I have a few highlights that I would like to leave behind, and it's basically tips on how to deal with this whole dilemma. Well, the first one is for the unfavored parent, do not take it personally. This is easier said than done. I know it can feel hurtful to have your child push you out of the bathroom because they want mom to help, but however, this doesn't mean that your child doesn't love you or that they are trying to hurt your feelings. The second one is do not resent your partner. Instead of resenting your partner, the other alternative would be to work together as a team. The next one is shoot for some one-on-one time, and the ladies did highlight on this. Go ahead and have activities together with your children. The next one is share caretaking duties. Support the unfavored parent. The parent that is not feeling favored, well, the favored one, please support the unfavored parent. And the last one is finally, do not force it. And a parting quote that I would actually encourage every parent that is feeling this kind of way this morning is, remember, showing favoritism is a sign that your child is growing and maturing. With time, your kids will move past the preference for one parent over the other. After all, it's absolutely possible for your kids to love both parents in unique ways. So do not get frustrated. The phase will definitely blow over. And that winds up the conversation that I had for you this morning on our views. However, stay tuned because Sandra Cope has something juicy coming in. Have you been scammed before? Keep watching Sunrise at Sea. Don't blink.